Hey, how's it going, everyone? It's Ben Foggins Media Corner back again with a brand new video for today. Welcome back to the movie review, aka After I Saw review video for today. For this new aka After I Saw review video for today, this is going to be my review on a film that came out this year for 2022, which this movie was released back in July of this year in the UK, while this movie was released in September of this year in the US. And I didn't even know when I was going to review this film and all that, but I decided for today I feel like I should get this video done and uploaded, so here we go. Today's review is going to be my review on the 2022 family drama film, and this is the sequel to the 1970 film, and that movie is The Railway Children Return. This is directed by Morgan Matthews, and like I said, this is the sequel to the 1970 classic film, which is The Railway Children. And the story of the film is that we follow three children named Lily, Patty, and Ted, where for these three children, they have been evacuated to the Yorkshire countryside to basically live there while the Second World War is happening and all that. And for these three children, they start to settle in this new village they're being evacuated to, and they start to make new friends and all that. But what ends up happening is that they find this other child who is on the run from the army, because for this child, his name's Abraham, who is a black American soldier. He's facing like racial abuse, and so he's basically on the run from the soldiers who are after him, and all he wants to do is that he wants to get back home to his family, and so he's for these three children to basically help him to get back home and all that. So we see that happening while we see these children going on an adventure that they've never gone before. So that's pretty much the story of The Railway Children Return. Now, before I get into what I think of the sequel, let's talk about what I think of the original film. What can I say about the original film? It is an absolute classic. It's a classic 70s movie, and it's definitely one of the best family dramas I've seen, as well as one of the best British films I've seen ever. But I never really watched that version a lot when I was a kid. I remember watching like the TV movie that came out in 2000, but I never really watched it when I was very young. Like I never watched it all the time when it was on TV. I remember watching that film when I was in like primary school, when I was learning about the whole book, when I was learning about that from the book, which I have read the book before in school, and the book is great. And for watching that movie, the TV movie, like I said, I thought it was pretty good, but I haven't seen it in quite a while though. But when I was in cinemas, when I was watching a few trailers, a trailer for this movie dropped out of nowhere, and I was like, oh, there's a sequel to The Railway Children. I have to give the original one a go. So I did watch the original film before checking this one out, and I absolutely adore the original film. It's an absolute classic. And so I went to see this just on the day it was released, which was the 15th of July. And for my screening, there wasn't many people in my screening, unfortunately, but there was still quite a few people in my screening, though. And after watching this sequel, in my opinion, I thought this was just decent. It's definitely not as good as the first film, but it's just sort of like a fine sequel here. Well, I don't have a whole lot to say about the sequel, but there's a few things to appreciate out of the sequel, like the performances. I thought everyone was pretty solid for the decent performances here. Jenny Agutter, who was in the original film and played Bobby, which in the sequel she plays the adult version of that character, in which her acting in the sequel was pretty solid. Sheridan Smith, I thought she was pretty solid in the movie, which she plays Bobby's daughter. And John Bradley, who you may know from Game of Thrones, he was pretty solid in the movie too. And as for the three main children in the film, I thought the acting in this movie was pretty solid, especially the oldest child in the film. I thought her acting was pretty solid. And you may know her from Rogue One, a Star Wars story, who played Mads Mikkelsen's daughter in that film. And once after I saw this and rewatched Rogue One, I was like, I didn't even know she was in that, which I was actually pretty interesting. And the actor who played Abraham, I thought his acting was pretty solid in the movie. And everyone else, they all gave decent, solid performances here. And the direction by Morgan Matthews looks pretty nice for the whole location shooting area for this film, where it's set in like in the Yorkshire countryside area, which you do kind of get a sense to it once you look at that area, like what you're seeing, what you're hearing. You do kind of get a bit of smell to it and all that, like you're in the forest area and all that. It looks pretty. It is pretty nice to look at, and you also kind of get other senses as well, like the timing of the film, where you kind of get a bit of smell to it and all that. Like say like you're in the train yard and all that, which there are some good directing moments with that, and there's a bit of nostalgia to the original film, like where you see like when you see the children make their own signs with red writing all over it, which for seeing that it was like when I saw that, it just immediately threw me back to the original Railway Children movie. And as for its concept, it's pretty decent enough, but for its execution, though, for its storytelling, it's just, I kind of found the whole storytelling for this film pretty generic, really, and very predictable for like what was going to happen. Like once this film soon gets into its all main story and all that, it just immediately got into my head. Like I was like, I know what's gonna happen here with the characters and like what's gonna happen at the end and all that. Which once I saw that, it didn't really get me angry or anything like that, because I was just like, oh, I can see where it's going and all of that. And there's obviously and there was obviously a message in the film where it kind of involves like the whole Black Lives Matter thing here, which is one of the it's that message which I've already seen before in a few other films, which some of the movies they've done pretty well for that, but for this one did feel pretty generic really. But this whole train ride of a film didn't make me lose interest with this whole film and all that, and because there were some moments that do tend to have some heartfelt moments and a few entertaining moments and all that to basically help myself have a delightful train ride of a film here. But I wouldn't say this whole new train ride of a movie here is on a whole is on a full head up steam here and all that. But in the end, guys, The Railway Children Return, like I said, it was a decent sequel. Again, it's not as good as the first film and all that, but if you're a fan of the original film, if you're dying to see the sequel, if you missed a chance to see this in cinemas, it is available to stream on any app of your choice. So that's pretty much all I have to say about The Railway Children Return. I'm going to give The Railway Children Return 3 out of 5. Again, as I said before, this is definitely not a bad sequel. Like for me, this was just a decent, fine sequel. And again, this is nowhere near as good as the original, because obviously the original will always still be the best. But there still are a few things to appreciate out of the sequel. But there'll be a few things that may distract the viewers though once they do watch this film, and all that. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching my ACAT first review on The Railway Children Return, and let me know what you think of the sequel if you have seen this already, if you just recently checked out the sequel. Did you really enjoy this, or was this not really a cup of tea? As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and this has been Foggins Media Corner signing off.